Fort Solis is a horror mystery game wrapped in some fantastic visuals. And given the similar themes and marketing, you might be wondering how it compares to the likes of Dead Space and the Callisto Protocol. The answer is not much at all, at least on the gameplay front. If you were looking for an action survival game, this is not it. It's more along the lines of Deliver Us the Moon or Firewatch, and feels like an interactive drama rather than a full-on video game. The story kicks off with a two-person team, Jack Leary and Jessica Appleton, out on a routine repair mission at a Martian outpost. As a storm rolls in as they complete their work, they receive a distress call from the titular Fort Solis, a nearby research base. Jack heads out to investigate, while Jessica stays behind and remains in constant communication with him. Upon arrival, Jack discovers the base of operations is on lockdown, but he manages to get in by climbing through the atrium and begins his investigation into just what the heck is going down. The base itself seems abandoned, but there's an incredibly creepy atmosphere that the game builds upon. Apart from the banter between Jessica and Jack over the comms device, Fort Solis is quiet. Too quiet. While investigating, Jack soon realizes something is off, and the first chapter really sets the tone for what's to come. A big part of maintaining the atmosphere and pacing is the somewhat limited gameplay, an element that will probably prove divisive. You'll be slowly moving your character around and investigating key points in the environment, all marked with a small white circle. Think computer terminals, lockers or pictures. Jack and Jessica will then discuss something. We'll be treated to an audio or video log, which will delve deeper into what happened before their arrival. It is formulaic and it's been done by multiple games over the years, but it works on Fort Solis because it's heavy on storytelling and somewhat less interested in the gameplay. Walking Simulator comes to mind, and Fort Solis certainly falls into that category. Perhaps a little too much, given your character can't even run for some inexplicable reason. This means that the game moves at a somewhat glacial pace, but coupled with the rather linear and locked-down and forced paths, this pace makes it hard to miss key things. That said, it's not without some sense of progression, as players gain access to more of the base over time, all the while learning more about the sinister events that have transpired. Given the storytelling focus, I'd say it still makes Fort Solis quite entertaining. What action there is plays out as quick-time events that pop up during cutscenes. The seamless transition from cutscene to gameplay is impressive, but it can be confusing at times. Expect to fail a lot of the QTEs for the first time because of the sheer unexpectedness of them suddenly showing up. With limited gameplay, discovering audio and video logs to learn more about the characters and piece together events was my driving force for pushing on, though the game's ending variants might be polarizing and underwhelming, depending on your tastes and preferences in sci-fi. Now graphically, being one of the few Unreal Engine 5.2 games, Fort Solis looks fantastic. Environments and character models are dripping with detail, and the base is packed with little touches that make it feel really lived in. The Martian surface feels suitably hostile, with a raging storm that the developers clearly researched to make it feel as realistic as possible. The base offers up decent variety, but retains a uniform aesthetic, in line with what a possible outpost on Mars would probably look like. The soundtrack is limited but fine, with music adding to the intensity during key sequences. However, the game relies on silence and ambient sounds in the environment, all of which play a massive role in contributing to the horror mystery feel. The most impressive audio element is the voice acting, and the cast has really performed their hearts out here. Special mention needs to go to Julia Brown, who does an excellent job of carrying the story as Jessica Appleton. It's just a shame the gameplay ultimately feels underdeveloped compared to the audiovisual experience. So wrapping up, Fort Solis is a game that, while quite short, features an interesting story, incredible presentation values, and underwhelming gameplay. There are a few mishaps like players being forced to walk all the time, the sudden QTEs, and the endings, but the rest of the game, such as the environment and storytelling, is honestly remarkable stuff from an indie developer. If you go in aware that Fort Solis is big on storytelling with smatterings of cinematic, visceral action, it feels well done. It's an impressive first game for the devs and a great sci-fi thriller with some faults that can be easily overlooked and forgiven given its short length. If you've got this far, please consider giving the video a like and maybe subscribing to our channel as it helps us grow.